The morning alarm buzzed through the metal halls of Nexus Prime Academy. Cadet Hana stretched in her narrow bed and looked out the window at the stars. 3 months ago, she was feeding chickens on her family farm in Korea. Now she was training to be a soldier in space with aliens from dozens of different worlds. She pulled on her gray academy uniform and walked to the dining hall. The other human cadets waved at her from their table. Cadet Kim Minho was telling jokes again, making everyone laugh. But Hana liked sitting with the aliens better. They had such interesting stories about their home worlds. Today she sat with Veltar, a tall bug-like creature from the Chithari species. His forearms moved quickly as he ate some kind of green paste. Next to him sat Nixal, who looked like she was made of light. The Luminian female could read minds, which made some cadets nervous. But Hana found it useful when she forgot vocabulary and galactic standard. "Good morning, Hana," Nixal said in her singing voice. "You seem excited today." "We have Professor Kelvak's class," Hana replied. "I love learning about animals from other planets." Veltar clicked his mandibles, which meant he was confused. "You find the Death World creatures interesting?" "Most cadets find them terrifying." "Death Worlds?" Hana asked. "Planets too dangerous for civilized life," Veltar explained. "Only the most savage beasts can survive there." Hana nodded, though she did not really understand why that was so scary. She finished her breakfast and walked with her friends to the classroom. Professor Kelvak was already there, setting up his hologram projector. The saurian looked like a giant lizard standing on 2 legs. His green scales were covered in scars from his years as a field researcher. Students said he had visited more dangerous worlds than any other professor at the academy. "Take your seats," Professor Kelvak ordered in his deep voice. "Today we discuss the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy." The lights dimmed. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed a creature that looked like a giant spider, but with 6 legs instead of 8. Its body was black and covered in spikes. Acid dripped from its fangs. "The Vrex Hunter," Professor Kelvak said, "native to Cathera Prime. This apex predator can dissolve through starship armor with its acid. It hunts in packs of 12 and can track prey across 3 star systems." Several alien cadets made scared noises. Hana leaned forward to get a better look. The creature reminded her of the spiders in her grandmother's barn, except much bigger. The hologram changed. Now it showed something that looked like smoke with red eyes. The shape kept changing, sometimes looking solid, sometimes see-through. "Shadow stalkers from Umbral 7, the professor continued. "They can move between dimensions. No weapon can hurt them when they phase shift. They appear inside enemy ships and kill entire crews before anyone knows they are there." More scared whispers from the class. Hana thought the creature looked interesting. How did it change between solid and gas? That was amazing. The third hologram made several students gasp. It was enormous, bigger than the classroom. The creature looked like an armored bear crossed with a tank. Its claws were longer than a person. Its roar, even from the recording, made the windows shake. "Titan crushers from Gravitas," Professor Kelvak announced. "These beasts grow up to 15 meters tall. Their claws can slice through battlecruiser hulls. A single Titan crusher destroyed 3 mining colonies before we learned to avoid their territory." The Chithari cadet next to Hana was shaking. Even brave Veltar looked nervous. Nixal had gone completely transparent, which happened when Luminians were scared. Professor Kelvak turned off the holograms and faced the class. His yellow eyes looked at each student. "These creatures represent millions of years of evolution on Death Worlds. They are perfect killing machines. No civilized species has ever tamed an apex predator. They exist only to hunt and kill." He walked around the room slowly. "This is why we study them. Knowledge saves lives. If you ever encounter these creatures, you must run. Fighting them is suicide. Even our best weapons barely slow them down." The professor stopped in front of the class. "The galaxy is full of dangers. Apex predators are the worst of them. They cannot be reasoned with. They cannot be trained. They cannot be controlled. Any questions?" Hana raised her hand. The room was very quiet. All eyes turned to look at her. "Yes, Cadet Lee?" Professor Kelvak said. Hana smiled brightly. "Professor, my family kept 3 as pets back home." The silence in the room became complete. Not even the air recycling system seemed to make noise. Professor Kelvak's mouth opened, but no sound came out. His yellow eyes got very wide. Veltar turned all 4 of his eyes toward Hana. "I'm sorry, could you repeat that?" "My family kept 3 apex predators as pets," Hana said again, still smiling. "They were very good pets." Bori helped my father with the farm work. Nabi kept mice away from our grain, and Horang was retired so he mostly slept in the sun. Nixal made a small squeaking noise. 2 of the smaller alien cadets had fainted and fallen off their chairs. A blue-skinned hydran was turning purple, which meant he was either very sick or very scared. Professor Kelvac sat down hard in his chair. He stared at Hana like she had grown a second head. Cadet Lee, that is impossible. Apex predators cannot be kept as pets. They are killing machines. But they were very friendly, Hana insisted. Bori loved playing fetch. Nabi would sit on my lap while I did homework. And Harang protected me from the wild pigs that sometimes came near our farm. The professor's hands were shaking as he reached for his datapad. Cadet Lee, I think you may be confused about what constitutes an apex predator. Perhaps these were domesticated animals that only looked dangerous? Hana shook her head. No, sir. Bori weighed 70 kilos and could bite through metal. Nabi could catch birds in mid-flight and had claws like razors. And Horang was a Siberian tiger. Mom rescued him from a zoo that closed down. A Voltan cadet made a gurgling noise and ran out of the classroom. Professor Kelvac was now staring at his datapad with confusion. I need to contact the Academy Medical Center, he muttered. Why? Hunter asked. Is something wrong? The remaining conscious alien cadets looked at her with expressions of pure terror. Veltar slowly backed his chair away from her. Even Nixal, who usually glowed with warm light, had dimmed to barely visible. Professor Kelvac stood up on unsteady legs. Class dismissed. Everyone except Cadet Lee. You need to stay here until someone from command arrives. As the alien cadets hurried out of the room, Hana heard them whispering to each other in their native languages. She caught a few words in Galactic Standard: impossible, insane, and death world. Hana sat alone in the empty classroom, still confused about why everyone seemed so upset. On Earth, lots of families had pets. It was perfectly normal. She pulled out her communicator and looked at pictures of home. There was one of her as a little girl, sleeping between Bori and Horang while Nabi sat on her stomach. She hoped her pets were doing well without her. She missed them very much. 20 minutes later, the classroom door opened. Commander Park Do-yun walked in, followed by Professor Kelvac and a tall alien in a white coat. Hana recognized the alien as Dr. Zilton, the Academy's head medical officer. His people, the Keplerians, looked like walking trees with too many arms. Cadet Lee, Commander Park said in Korean, are you feeling all right? Hana was happy to hear her native language. Yes, sir. But everyone seems upset about something. Dr. Zilton approached with a scanning device. May I check your mental state, young cadet? There seems to be some confusion about your memories. My memories are fine, Hana replied, switching back to Galactic Standard so everyone could understand. Professor Kelvac was pacing behind his desk. His claws made clicking sounds on the metal floor. Commander Park, she claims her family domesticated apex predators. This is clearly impossible. I believe she may have suffered trauma that damaged her memory. What exactly did she say? Commander Park asked. That her family kept 3 apex predators as pets, Dr. Zilton answered, reading from his notes. She described them in detail. A 70-kilogram canine with metal-piercing bite force, a feline predator with flight-capable reflexes, and something called a Siberian tiger. Commander Park stopped moving. His face went very pale. She said, tiger? You know this creature? Professor Kelvac asked. Commander Park sat down slowly. Dr. Zilton, please scan my memories too. I think you're going to find them just as impossible. The medical scanner beeped as it examined Commander Park's brain. Dr. Zilton looked at the results, then scanned again. His bark-like skin turned from brown to white. Commander, your memories show you living with a creature called a German Shepherd for 15 years. The scanner indicates this animal weighed 45 kilos and possessed bone-crushing jaw strength. That's right. Commander Park nodded. His name was Buddy, great dog. My daughter has a pet snake now, a python about 3 meters long. Dr. Zilton dropped his scanner. It clattered on the floor. Professor Kelvac made a choking sound. Commander, the professor whispered. Pythons are constrictors. They kill by crushing their prey. You let your child live with one? She's had Noodle since she was 10, Commander Park replied. Very gentle snake. Likes to curl up on warm surfaces. Hana nodded enthusiastically. That sounds nice. Horang liked warm places too. He would lie in the sun for hours. Horang was the tiger. Dr. Zilton asked weakly. Yes, sir. He was getting old when we got him. The zoo couldn't take care of him anymore, and Mom is a veterinarian. She knows how to care for big cats. Professor Kelvac slowly walked to his computer terminal. I need to access Earth files. This cannot be real. The Earth files are classified, Commander Park warned. Level 7 clearance required. I have Level 7 clearance, Professor Kelvac replied. His claws clicked rapidly on the keyboard. Let me just... Oh, my ancestors preserve us. The professor's face went from green to gray. He stared at the screen like he was looking at a ghost. What does it say? Dr. Zilton asked. Professor Kelvac read slowly from the screen. Earth classification, Death World Class 12. 12? Dr. Zilton gasped. The classification only goes to 10. They made a new category just for Earth, Professor Kelvac continued reading. Atmospheric oxygen levels toxic to most galactic species. Extreme temperature variations. Unstable tectonic activity. Weather patterns capable of destroying cities. Predator diversity exceeding any catalogued world by factor of 50. He scrolled down further. Dominant species human. Status apex predator of apex predators. That doesn't sound right, Hannah said. Humans aren't predators. We're nice. Professor Kelvac looked at her with new eyes. According to this file, humans drove extinct over 60% of Earth's large predator species. The remaining species either learned to avoid human settlements or were domesticated for human use. Well, yes, Hannah agreed. We needed the friendly animals to help us farm and hunt. The mean ones we had to protect ourselves from. Mean ones? Dr. Zilton asked. Bears that stole our food. Wolves that attacked our livestock. Big cats that hunted near our villages. That sort of thing. Commander Park nodded. Standard Earth wildlife management. Nothing unusual. Professor Kelvac scrolled through more files. It says here that Earth humans regularly swim in waters containing creatures called sharks. These sharks grow up to 7 meters long and possess rows of razor-sharp teeth. Sharks usually don't bother people, Hannah explained. You just have to be careful and not swim where they're hunting. Not bother people? Professor Kelvac's voice was getting higher. These are apex marine predators. The dangerous ones are pretty rare, Commander Park added helpfully. Most sharks are smaller. Though I did have to pull my son out of the water once when we spotted a great white. Dr. Zilton was frantically taking notes. How large was this great white? Maybe 4 meters. Not too big, but they can be aggressive during feeding season. Professor Kelvac made a sound like air escaping from a balloon. He pulled up more files. Earth humans also coexist with creatures called bears. Some varieties exceed 300 kilograms and can run faster than most galactic vehicles. Brown bears are pretty fast, Hannah admitted. But they mostly eat fish and berries. Black bears are smaller. Polar bears are the dangerous ones, but they live far north where not many people go. Mostly eat fish and berries, Professor Kelvac repeated. These files show bears capable of crushing starship components with their claws. Well, yes, they're very strong, Hannah said. That's why we don't bother them during salmon season. Dr. Zilton sat down heavily. Cadet, you speak of these death machines like they are neighbors. They kind of are neighbors, Hannah replied. We share the planet with them. Most animals don't want to fight humans. Fighting is dangerous for everyone. It's better to avoid each other or be friends. Professor Kelvac brought up video files. Look at this surveillance footage from an Earth nature preserve. The hologram showed a small human child, maybe 8 years old, walking very close to a massive brown bear. The bear was easily 10 times the child's size. Instead of attacking, the bear simply walked away. See? Hannah pointed at the hologram. The bear knew the child wasn't a threat, and the child knew not to get too close or make sudden movements. The child knew not to make sudden movements around a 300-kilogram predator. Dr. Zilton repeated slowly. That's just common sense, Commander Park said. You learn that stuff when you're little. Professor Kelvac showed another video. This one featured adult humans hiking through a forest. In the background, barely visible, several wolf-like shapes followed them. Those wolves are tracking the humans, Professor Kelvac said. Why aren't the humans running? Hannah squinted at the video. Oh, those are probably coyotes, not wolves. They're just curious. Coyotes are pretty smart. They'll follow humans sometimes to see if we drop food. Follow humans to see if they drop food, Dr. Zilton repeated, writing frantically. Not to hunt the humans? Coyotes don't usually attack healthy adult humans, Hannah explained. We're too big and too much trouble. They prefer easier prey like rabbits. Professor Kelvac sat down and put his head in his hands. According to these files, Earth contains over 1 million apex predator species. Most galactic death worlds have 10 or 20 at most. 1 million seems high, Commander Park said thoughtfully. Though I guess it depends on how you count them. Are we including venomous spiders? Venomous spiders? Dr. Zilton whispered. Australia has some really dangerous ones, Hannah added. But most spiders are helpful. They eat mosquitoes and flies. Professor Kelvac looked up from his hands. How are any humans still alive? Hannah thought about it. Well, we're pretty good at avoiding danger. And we're good at working together when something threatens us. Plus, most animals would rather run away than fight. Most animals would rather run away from humans, Dr. Zilton corrected. Right, Hannah agreed. Fighting humans is usually a bad idea for animals. The room fell silent as the three adults tried to process this information. Finally, Professor Kelvac spoke. I need to call an emergency faculty meeting. The emergency faculty meeting was held in the Academy's secure briefing room. 12 professors from different species sat around a circular table. Each one had spent the last 2 hours reviewing Earth files that most of them had never seen before. Professor Kelvac stood at the front with a holographic display behind him. His claws shook slightly as he pointed at the data. Colleagues, he began, what we have discovered changes everything we thought we knew about death worlds and apex predators. Professor Yentala, a crystal-based Xerion, chimed softly. The files are disturbing. Earth should not be able to support intelligent life. Yet humans not only survived, added Professor Gorvash, a 4-armed Catherian. They dominated their entire biosphere. Professor Kelvac brought up a 3-dimensional map of Earth. Red dots covered the planet like a disease. Each red marker represents a documented apex predator species. There are over 50,000 individual markers. The faculty made various sounds of distress. Professor Venth, a gas cloud being in a containment suit, flickered nervously. This density is impossible. Apex predators require large territories. They cannot coexist in such numbers. That's what we thought, Professor Kelvac replied. But Earth predators exist in a complex ecosystem, where they prey on each other as much as on other species. It's a predatory pyramid with hundreds of levels. He changed the display to show Earth's food chain. It looked nothing like the simple pyramids from other worlds. Instead, it resembled a twisted web with arrows pointing in every direction. Humans sit at the top of this pyramid, Professor Kelvac continued, but not as typical apex predators. They achieve dominance through intelligence, cooperation, and tool use. Professor Zilthana, a tall insectoid Mantari, clicked her mandibles. Intelligence alone cannot explain their success. Many species are intelligent. Few survive on death worlds. Professor Kelvac brought up video footage from Earth. The faculty watched humans doing impossible things, swimming with creatures that could swallow them whole, walking calmly past predators that could tear them apart, climbing mountains where the air was too thin to breathe. The key seems to be their approach to danger, Professor Kelvac explained. Instead of avoiding all threats, humans studied them. They learned how each predator behaves, what triggers attacks, how to minimize risk. The video showed human children playing near a river, while crocodiles sunbathed on the bank. The crocodiles were massive, prehistoric-looking beasts with teeth like swords. Yet they ignored the children completely. The children stay outside the crocodile's hunting zone, Professor Kelvac narrated. The crocodiles recognize that humans are not prey animals. Neither side bothers the other. Professor Yentala chimed again. This implies that Earth predators can distinguish between threats and non-threats with remarkable precision. Exactly. Earth predators had to become incredibly smart to survive in such a competitive environment. They learned to pick their battles carefully. Fighting unnecessarily means death. The next video showed something even more shocking. A human woman was walking through tall grass when a lion appeared 30 meters away. The lion was huge, with muscles like steel cables and claws that gleamed in the sunlight. Instead of running, the woman slowly backed away while maintaining eye contact. The lion watched her go, then lay down in the shade. The human showed no fear, Professor Gorvash observed, yet she avoided provoking the predator. Fear triggers attack responses in many species, Professor Kelvac explained. Humans learn to control their fear responses. They face danger with calm calculation instead of panic. Professor Venth flickered more rapidly. This suggests humans are natural predators themselves. Only predators can suppress fear so effectively. Professor Kelvac nodded grimly. The files confirm this. Humans possess forward-facing eyes, canine teeth, and excellent depth perception. They are pursuit predators, designed for long-distance hunting. He brought up anatomical diagrams comparing humans to other galactic species. Unlike most intelligent races, humans had clear predatory features. Their hands could grip weapons. Their legs could run for hours. Their brains could track prey across vast distances. But they're also social creatures, Professor Zilthana pointed out. Pack hunters. The deadliest combination possible, Professor Kelvac agreed. Individual predatory ability combined with group coordination. The next set of videos showed human military operations. The faculty watched in horrified fascination as human soldiers moved through dangerous terrain like they owned it. They adapted to any environment in days. Desert, jungle, Arctic wasteland. Humans functioned effectively everywhere. They don't just survive hostile environments, Professor Yantala observed. They conquer them. Professor Kelvac brought up population data. In the past 1,000 years, Earth's human population grew from 1 billion to 8 billion. They spread to every continent, including frozen polar regions and burning deserts. Geometric population growth, Professor Gorvash muttered. Classic apex predator expansion pattern. But here's the strangest part, Professor Kelvac said. He showed photos of human cities. Towering structures of metal and glass stretched toward the sky. Millions of humans lived in concentrated areas. They built mega colonies while maintaining their predatory abilities. This was unprecedented. On other worlds, apex predators were always solitary, or lived in small groups. Large populations meant reduced predatory efficiency, but humans seemed to violate this rule. Professor Venth spoke through his translator device. How do they avoid territorial conflicts at such population densities? They created complex social structures, Professor Kelvac replied. Laws, governments, economic systems. They channeled their predatory instincts into nonviolent competition. The display showed human sports and games, humans competing fiercely in activities that mimicked hunting, fighting, and territory control. But instead of killing each other, they followed elaborate rules and celebrated winners. They turned predation into entertainment, Professor Zilthana observed. Remarkable adaptation. Professor Kelvac showed the final set of videos. These featured human children playing with earth animals that the faculty now recognized as apex predators. Dogs that could crush bones playing gentle games of fetch. Cats that could slice through armor purring in human laps. Even more shocking, humans riding on the backs of creatures called horses. The domestication files are the most disturbing, Professor Kelvac said. Humans didn't just learn to coexist with apex predators. They recruited them as allies. Professor Yantala's crystal body pulsed with confusion. Apex predators cannot be domesticated. It violates fundamental biological principles. Not on Earth, Professor Kelvac replied. Earth predators are smart enough to recognize mutual benefit relationships. Humans provided food and protection. Predators provided services like hunting, guarding, and transportation. Services, Professor Gorvash repeated. They turned apex predators into employees. The relationship goes deeper than employment, Professor Kelvac explained. These files mention something called emotional bonding. Humans form psychological connections with their predator companions. Professor Venth flickered skeptically. Emotional attachment to killing machines? Professor Kelvac pulled up brain scans showing human neural activity when interacting with their pets. The patterns resembled those seen in parent-child relationships. Humans apparently experience feelings of love and protectiveness toward their apex predator companions, he said. And the scans suggest these feelings are reciprocated. The room fell silent as the professors tried to process this information. Finally, Professor Zilthana spoke. What does this mean for the Academy?
For the galaxy?
Professor Kelvac looked around the table. It means we need to completely revise our understanding of predator-prey relationships, death world survival, and apex predator behavior. And our understanding of humans, Professor Gorvash added quietly. Yes, Professor Kelvac agreed. Humans are not just another intelligent species. They are something entirely new. Apex predators who became civilized without losing their predatory abilities. Professor Yantala chimed thoughtfully. No wonder their military applications have been so successful. Indeed, human cadets consistently scored highest in combat simulations, survival training, and tactical planning. The faculty had attributed this to good education and natural talent. Now they understood it was something much more fundamental. Professor Kelvac turned off the display. I recommend we establish a new research department focused on human behavior and Earth biology. We have much to learn. The meeting ended with more questions than answers. As the professors filed out, each one was thinking the same thing. The galaxy had just become a much more interesting and dangerous place. 3 days after the faculty meeting, Academy Command made an unusual decision. They would arrange a practical demonstration to test the theories about human-predator relationships. The announcement sent waves of excitement and terror through the student body. Hannah sat in the dining hall with her friends, trying to explain why everyone was making such a big deal about pets. On my world, we have small creatures called fluff mice, Nixal said, her light body glowing softly. They are very gentle and eat only plant seeds. That's what we consider a pet. Veltar nodded his insect head. Chithari keeps singing crystals. They make pleasant sounds and require no care. Very safe. But your pets could kill you, added Jorik, a blue-skinned hydran who had joined their table. Doesn't that worry you? Hannah shook her head. Bori would never hurt me. He protected me. When I was little, I would fall asleep on his back during long farm walks. He always made sure I didn't fall off. You slept on a 70-kilogram predator, Jorik said slowly. He was very comfortable, Hannah replied. Very warm and soft. Kim Minho sat down next to her with his food tray. What's everyone talking about? Hannah's death pets, Veltar explained. Oh, you mean normal pets, Minho said, starting to eat. My family has 2 dogs and a cat back home. My little sister wants to get a rabbit next. The alien cadets stared at him. Rabbits are predators too? Nixal asked weakly. No, rabbits are prey animals, Minho explained. They eat plants. Very cute and fluffy. Finally, a reasonable Earth pet. Jorik sighed with relief. Though wild rabbits can bite pretty hard if cornered, Minho added thoughtfully, and they can carry diseases. Plus, they multiply really fast if you're not careful. Jorik put his head in his hands. Commander Park approached their table. Cadet Lee, Cadet Kim, you're both needed in Lab Section 7. Special assignment. Hannah and Minho followed the commander through the Academy's corridors. They passed through several security checkpoints before reaching a restricted area Hannah had never seen before. Where are we going, sir? Minho asked. The Xenobiology Research Center, Commander Park replied. They want you to meet something. The lab was huge, with ceiling-to-floor windows looking into containment chambers. Hannah could see various alien creatures in the different rooms. Some were behind energy fields, others behind thick metal barriers. Professor Kelvac was waiting with Dr. Zilton and several other faculty members. A large viewing area had been set up with cameras and recording equipment. Behind the one-way glass, Hannah could see what looked like a holding cell. Cadets, Professor Kelvac said. We're going to test your claims about apex predator domestication. Are you willing to participate? What kind of test? Hannah asked. Dr. Zilton gestured toward the containment cell. We have a live specimen, a creature that has terrorized 3 star systems. We want to see if you can interact with it safely. Through the glass, Hannah saw movement in the shadows. Something large shifted in the darkness. 2 yellow eyes reflected the light. What kind of creature? Minho asked. Of Rex Hunter, Professor Kelvac replied. The same species I showed in class 3 days ago. Hannah remembered the hologram. 6 legs, acid-dripping fangs, pack hunter behavior. It's alone? We couldn't capture an entire pack, Dr. Zilton explained. This one was found injured after a battle. We've been studying it for 2 months. Is it healthy now? Hannah asked. Professor Kelvac looked surprised. That's your first concern? Whether the creature is healthy? Well, yes, Hannah replied. Sick animals are unpredictable. They might attack because they're scared or in pain. The specimen has fully recovered, Dr. Zilton confirmed, though it has been uncooperative with our research. Minho peered through the glass. What do you mean uncooperative? It destroyed 3 scanner drones and refuses to eat when we're watching, Professor Kelvac explained. We can only feed it by dropping food through a slot when no one is around. It doesn't trust you, Hannah observed. That's normal for a predator in an unfamiliar environment. The faculty exchanged glances. Several alien professors were watching from a safe distance behind another barrier. If you're not comfortable with this, Commander Park said, you can refuse. No one will think less of you. Hannah looked at Minho. What do you think? Minho studied the creature through the glass. It had moved closer to the light and they could see it clearly now. It was even more impressive than the hologram had suggested. Its black carapace gleamed like armor. Its 6 legs moved with perfect coordination. Its mandibles clicked softly as it tested the air. "It's beautiful," Minho said quietly. Professor Kelvac nearly dropped his datapad. "Beautiful? Look at that design," Minho continued. "Perfect predator architecture. Those legs can probably move in any direction instantly. The carapace distribution provides maximum protection without limiting mobility. And those eyes? They're tracking everything in the room simultaneously." "You sound like you're admiring a work of art," Dr. Zilton said weakly. "In a way I am," Minho replied. "Evolution created something incredible here." Hana nodded. "Can we go in? I'd like to meet it properly." The faculty members looked at each other nervously. Professor Kelvac activated the intercom to address the other professors. "Final safety check. All barriers in place? Medical team standing by? Emergency protocols activated?" A series of confirmations came back over the speakers. The viewing area filled with faculty and advanced students, all watching from behind protective screens. "Remember," Commander Park said, "if anything goes wrong, we can flood the chamber with knockout gas in seconds." Hana and Minho nodded. The airlock door opened with a hiss. They stepped into the containment chamber. The Vrex hunter immediately focused on them, its yellow eyes tracking their every movement. It was even larger up close, easily the size of a small vehicle. Its acid-dripping mandibles could have bitten either human in half. "Hello there," Hana said softly. The creature tilted its head slightly. Its mandibles stopped clicking. "We're not here to hurt you," Minho added. He kept his voice calm and low. "We just want to say hello." The Vrex hunter took one step forward. Through the intercom, they could hear someone gasp in the viewing area. "Easy," Hana murmured. "We're not afraid of you, but we're not challenging you either." She slowly sat down on the floor, making herself smaller and less threatening. Minho did the same. The creature watched this with obvious interest. "You've been alone here for a long time," Hana continued. "That must be hard for a pack hunter." The Vrex hunter made a low sound, almost like a purr but deeper. It took another step closer. "That's loneliness," Minho observed. "It wants social contact." "We're not your pack," Hana said to the creature. "But we can be friends if you want." The Vrex hunter circled them slowly, staying just out of reach. Its movements were careful, almost delicate. It was clearly testing them, trying to understand what they were. "It's evaluating us," Minho whispered, "trying to figure out our threat level and social position." "What social position do we want?" Hana asked. "Not alpha," Minho replied quickly. "That would require a dominance display. Not prey either, that triggers hunting behavior." "Neutral pack members?" Hana suggested. "Exactly." They sat quietly, letting the creature examine them. The Vrex hunter completed its circle and sat down about 3 meters away. It was close enough to strike, but its body language suggested curiosity rather than aggression. "Hello?" Hana said again. "I'm Hana, this is Minho." The creature made the purring sound again, louder this time. Over the intercom, they heard Professor Kelvac's voice tight with disbelief. It's responding to them. Positively." Minho slowly extended his hand, palm up, fingers relaxed. The Vrex hunter stretched its neck forward and sniffed delicately. Its acid dripped onto the floor but missed Minho's hand completely. "Good control," Hana complimented the creature. "You could have hurt us, but you chose not to. That shows intelligence and consideration." The creature's eyes seemed to brighten at the praise. "I think it understands more than we expected," Minho observed. Through the intercom came frantic whispers. "Impossible. They're sitting next to it. It's not attacking. How are they still alive?" The demonstration continued for another 20 minutes. By the end, the Vrex hunter was lying down with its head near the humans, making contented rumbling sounds. When they stood to leave, it made a sad whining noise. "We'll come back," Hana promised. "If they let us." As they left the containment chamber, the viewing area erupted in shocked discussion. Faculty members were frantically taking notes and arguing with each other in multiple languages. Professor Kelvac looked like he had seen a ghost. That should have been impossible." "It wasn't impossible," Hana replied. "It just took patience and respect." "Respect," Dr. Zilton repeated slowly. "You showed respect to an apex predator." Of course, Minho said. Respect is the foundation of any relationship. The two humans left the lab, chatting casually about their new friend. Behind them, the galaxy's greatest xenobiologists struggled to rewrite everything they thought they knew about predator behavior. 2 months later, Nexus Prime Academy looked very different. New courses filled the schedule: human predator psychology, death world survival techniques, and advanced interspecies relations. Students from across the galaxy competed for spots in these classes. Hana walked through the corridors with her usual group of friends. But now the group was much larger. Cadets from dozens of species wanted to learn from the humans who could befriend apex predators. Tell us again about the bears, requested Thixol, a new student from the gas giant Nebulas. Which kind of bears? Minho asked. There are 8 different species. 8 species of apex predators in one category? Veltar clicked his mandibles. Even after 2 months, he still found human stories hard to believe. Well, some are more dangerous than others, Hana explained as they walked to class. Panda bears mostly eat plants. They're not really dangerous unless you try to take their bamboo. Bamboo is a plant? Nixal asked. Her light body had stopped dimming whenever humans talked about earth animals. A very tall grass, actually, Minho replied. Pandas eat it all day long. They're quite peaceful. What about the dangerous bear species? Asked Jorik. The Hydran had become fascinated with earth predators, though he still turned purple when discussing them. Polar bears are the most dangerous, Hana said. They live in the Arctic and hunt seals. They can weigh 800 kilograms. Several alien cadets made worried sounds. 800 kilograms was heavier than most of their species' largest vehicles. But they mostly stay away from humans, Minho added quickly. They don't like warm climates, and most human cities are too warm for them. They reached Professor Kelvac's classroom, but it looked nothing like it had 2 months ago. The room had been expanded to 3 times its original size. Instead of individual desks, there were comfortable seating areas where mixed groups of species could learn together. Professor Kelvac himself had changed too. His scales had brightened from dark green to a healthier emerald color. He moved with more energy and enthusiasm. Learning about Earth biology had given him a new purpose in life. Good morning, class, he announced as students settled into their seats. Today we conclude our unit on human-animal relationships with a special presentation. The lights dimmed, and a holographic display showed the Academy's research lab. But the lab had changed dramatically. Where once there had been a single containment cell, now there were comfortable living spaces designed for different species. As you know, Professor Kelvac continued, our research program has expanded considerably. We now house 12 different apex predator species, all volunteers from rescue organizations across the galaxy. The hologram showed the Vrex hunter Hana and Minho had met, but instead of pacing alone in a bare cell, it was playing with puzzle toys and interacting with research assistants through a secure barrier. Subject VH1, whom the students have named Shadow, has shown remarkable adaptation to captivity. Its stress levels have dropped to nearly 0, and it actively participates in behavioral studies. The next image showed something that still amazed the faculty. Shadow was gently manipulating delicate instruments with its massive claws, helping researchers collect its own blood samples for analysis. The cooperation we've observed challenges fundamental assumptions about apex predator behavior, Professor Kelvac explained. These creatures are far more intelligent and socially complex than we previously understood. A student raised her tentacled appendage. Professor, are the humans still working with the creatures directly? Every day, Professor Kelvac replied. Cadet Lee and Cadet Kim have become essential members of our research team. But more importantly, they've trained other students in their techniques. The hologram showed a mixed group of species, human, Chithari, Luminian, and Hydran, sitting peacefully near a massive creature that looked like a cross between a dragon and a tank. This was a crush claw from the Gorvan system, a predator so dangerous that most species had declared its entire homeworld off limits. Cadet Veltar has shown particular aptitude for predator communication, Professor Kelvac noted. Veltar's forearms gestured modestly as his classmates made approving sounds. The key insight, Professor Kelvac continued, is that apex predators are not mindless killing machines. They are highly evolved social beings with complex emotional needs. When those needs are met, they become capable of remarkable cooperation. He brought up charts showing stress hormone levels, brain activity patterns, and social behavior metrics. In every case, the predators showed dramatic improvements when treated with what humans called respect and kindness. This has implications far beyond our research lab, Professor Kelvack said. 3-star systems have already requested human advisors to help resolve predator-related conflicts. Instead of military solutions, we're now using diplomatic ones. Hannah raised her hand. Professor, what about the new student exchange program? Professor Kelvack smiled, an expression that had become much more common lately. Ah, yes, the most ambitious project yet. The hologram showed construction images from Earth. Humans were building a massive facility that looked like a cross between a zoo, a university, and a resort. The Earth Interspecies Academy will open next year, Professor Kelvack announced. Students from across the galaxy will live on Earth for a full semester, learning directly from human experts about death world survival, predator psychology, and adaptive biology. The alien students made excited sounds. A semester on the most dangerous planet in the galaxy had somehow become the most prestigious educational opportunity available. Of course, Professor Kelvack added, students will be carefully supervised. Earth humans have agreed to provide personal mentors for each visiting student. Jorik raised a blue hand. Will we get to meet Earth apex predators personally? Only if you qualify for advanced courses, Professor Kelvack replied. And only with extensive safety training, Minho grinned. My family volunteered to host exchange students. Mom's excited to show alien visitors how we care for large predators. Your mother is a veterinarian, correct? Professor Kelvack asked. Yes, sir. She specializes in big cats. We have temporary housing for injured or orphaned predators while they recover. Several alien students turned pale, purple, or transparent at the thought of staying with a family that collected injured apex predators as a hobby. Professor Kelvack brought up the final set of images. These showed something that would have been unimaginable 3 months ago. Alien cadets working alongside human students in various dangerous environments. Desert survival training, Arctic expedition simulations, deep ocean exploration exercises. The mixed species training programs have exceeded all expectations, Professor Kelvack said proudly. Human students teach survival skills while learning advanced technology from their alien classmates. Everyone benefits, Nixal raised a glowing hand. Professor, has this changed how other species view humans? Professor Kelvack paused thoughtfully. It has changed how we view everyone. We now understand that every species has unique strengths developed by their homeworld environments. Humans excel at adapting to hostile conditions and forming relationships with dangerous creatures. But Chitauri are unmatched at mechanical engineering. Luminians have psychic abilities we're still studying. Hydrons can survive in pressure conditions that would crush any other species. And Saurians are excellent teachers, Hannah added with a smile. Professor Kelvack's scales brightened even more. Thank you, Cadet Lee. The class ended with students excitedly discussing their applications for the Earth Exchange program. As they filed out, Hannah lingered to talk with Professor Kelvack. Professor, she said, I got a message from home yesterday. Mom says shadow species might not be extinct after all. Professor Kelvack's eyes widened. Explain. The wildlife preserve where Harang came from received a distress signal from the Vrek's homeworld. Apparently there's a small population that survived the wars. They're asking for help. And your mother wants to assist in a rescue mission to one of the most dangerous worlds in the galaxy. She's a veterinarian, Hannah said, as if that explained everything. Helping animals is what she does. Professor Kelvack shook his head in amazement. 3 months ago, he would have declared such a mission impossible. Now he was already thinking about how to make it work. I'll contact the Galactic Council, he said. If we're going to save an apex predator species, we'll need the best team possible. The best team would include humans, Hannah observed. Obviously, Professor Kelvack agreed. And I believe I know just the humans for the job. As Hannah left the classroom, she pulled out her communicator and recorded a message for her family. Hi Mom, hi Dad, she said in Korean. I hope Bori, Nabi, and Harang are doing well. Tell them I miss them. And Mom, Professor Kelvack wants to talk to you about a rescue mission. I think you're going to like this one. She sent the message and walked toward the dining hall, where her friends were waiting to hear more stories about Earth animals. Behind her, Professor Kelvack was already making calls to arrange the most ambitious interspecies rescue mission in galactic history. Outside the academy windows, The stars looked the same as always. But the relationships between the species that lived among them had changed forever. The galaxy had learned that the most dangerous predators could also be the most loyal friends, if you knew how to ask nicely.